any property can be turned into an investment property. I think the perfect investment property is one that's going to attract fantastic capital growth, but also a really strong rent yield. I think that there's too much emphasis with a lot of people on just the capital growth, and they forget all about the rent yield. But the rent yield is just as important, because the rent yield is going to determine whether or not you can afford that property in the first place. It's one thing to chase great capital growth. You could buy a mansion in Toorak, and that property might get outstanding capital growth. But if the mansion in Toorak is negatively geared and is not getting a great rent return, what's the point of buying if you can't afford it? So you need to find an investment property that has a balance between a good rent yield and capital growth. What I look for in my investment properties is an investment property that is going to be paying for itself. I want the rental income to match all of the outgoings, so that the property isn't costing me a lot of money out of my own pocket. It's not impacting negatively on my cash flow or lifestyle, and it's a self-funding business that will look after itself. Now, depending on which state you live, where you live, every area has its own sweet spot. And by sweet spot, I mean an area that is going to grow in value and is going to attract capital growth. But it is not an area with high rental vacancies. It's a property it's an area rather that also attracts good tenants and good rental income. That's the area I believe that you want to be investing in. So don't just focus on the capital growth. Don't just focus on the rent yield. You need to find that sweet spot depending on where you are, and you need to find that perfect property that has the balance between the two. If you were to just focus on a property that had great rent yield, what you might be missing out on then is the capital growth. As I mentioned before, if you're looking just for capital growth, you might miss out on the rent yield. So the challenge is with any property is to find that perfect balance between the two.